What was that?
Took out all the cheese, babe.
Great. Oh, can you get my mom's phone and set that? Can you get my mom's phone?
In your purse?
No, it's on. Thank you so much. It's on the countertop. Yes.
Are we starting? I'm ready. What do you want me to take a picture of Flo and I? Hello.
Oh, yeah. Here. Wait, this is on live. Okay, great.
We're live.
I didn't recognize you at all.
Hi, Angelo. Thank you.
You still with Schweitzer? Can you take a picture of Bill and I? That's it.
We're doing more pictures. I'm a professional Instagram boyfriend.
Professional what?
Instagram boyfriend.
It's a real professional.
Wow, there's when you got all the food. Hi, Eugene. Hi, everyone. Okay, is it try?
What's that? I didn't know you were a photographer
Your cookies have been such a hit. Thank you so much.
I feel really good. I'm headlining the Garland Theater.
So we are at my mom's celebration of life. I think there's definitely 100 people here. It's really busy. I'm wearing a dress and my necklace is my mom's. Say hi. Right now we are live at my mom's celebration of life in Sandpoint, Idaho. My mom was the best person ever, and I'm so thankful that all of these people came out to celebrate her. But soon we're going to start with speeches. So we have a wonderful musician who's going to play for a little bit. We're going to start with some speeches. No. Like that's the last. The other phone, Byron, the other phone. My mom's phone.
I gave it to you.
No, you didn't. Okay, there's a phone in the behind her.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to try it again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can't hear me, talk real loud right now. No, but it's, thank you all for coming. I'm George Wentz. And all I can say is that I know Susan is up and looking down at this event, and she is so incredibly happy with all these friends and all this outpouring of love from the community. It's just such an honor that you're here. I want to introduce the kids, that are here, and give them a chance to talk about their mom. And, we have Marcy and Lily and Chloe. And Lily, of course, is in Thailand, and so she couldn't be here. But Chloe, my wife's nickname was the Little General. I'll talk a little more about that later. But she and Chloe started this store, and they started the whole Grace and Joy with Lily, who lives in Thailand. And Chloe, when her mother was diagnosed, she stepped up, and she has been an incredible rock. And she's standing here next to her, my son-in-law, who I love looking. And he has been a rock. They followed us to Houston, they followed us to California. I think they drove that VW all over the United States just to live in that car. We were 4 months in California, and we were a month in Texas. But Chloe has stepped into her mother's shoes, taken over the running of this store and everything to do with Grace and Joy. And so, right now, while she's in training, her title is the Little Colonel. But we're hoping that we will step up to general status here pretty soon. I know I have a 3-star in the house somewhere, and maybe he can make that transition for you. So Coco Dean,
Yes.
my little girl, who I raised from a pup, love so much.
Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the life of our beautiful mother. Our mom had a way of making everyone feel seen and loved. Her laughter and smile, especially with her dimple, could brighten any room. And I have learned so much from her. How to cook, how to be a businesswoman, how to be a wife, how to be a mother, and how to keep going when life feels overwhelming. She taught me how to be nice, but also how to stand for myself, how to be brave, and how to cherish the people around me. And to everyone in this room, I cannot thank you enough for the support you've shown our family during this really difficult time. So thank you all so much for being here. And at the end of the party, please grab a gift bag when you leave, because I made these really cute gift bags.
Okay, well, you've seen the two amateurs, and I'm going to introduce my son, Rob. For those of you that don't know Rob, he's a stand-up he was a stand-up comic when he was 2 years old. He was destined to be a stand-up comic. Growing up with Rob was just like living with a Carls. I mean, it was just, you never knew what he was going to do. He was always doing something, and I was always laughing hysterically, and Susan was always going, "Can't you get him to stop?" So, Rob, you know about your mom?
Hey, how are you guys? We can do better than that. I'm just kidding. It's good. Thank you guys for coming. This is what Mom would have wanted. She would have wanted all these smiling, wonderful things in her store that she worked so hard on for so many years, and people who are so close to her being. This really means a lot to the family, and especially to Mom. She's smiling down on all of us right now. Just a big smile on her face. I know that. And Mom was a sweet lady, and you can tell by all the people who are here, and then that she's affected in her life. We're all here for her today, and that means a lot to us and for you guys for coming. I just can't thank you guys enough. But Mom was, for our family, Mom was a lot of different things. She was a rock for us. We were all on her. She was a little general, but she could be very loving, obviously, all the time. Wasn't always punishing us, Mainly just me. But Mom was great. We all loved Mom, and she meant different things. They say, when someone passes on, that they're not really gone until we stop thinking of them, stop talking about them. And in that way, I think Mom is going to be around for quite a while, and a long time, Mom gave us all different gifts, her children, Took the gift of seeing things through, hard work, all the good things I didn't get, really. And I know Lily, she gave that gift of empathy and forgiveness and things that we all love Lily for. And to me, she gave bad attitude. We all love Mom, we all miss Mom, we all wish she was here, but, I don't think she's really gone. I think she's with us every day when we do something, and every day Chloe runs the of her. And every day that I'm out telling jokes and meeting people and reading people and networking people, I know that's a gift I got from Mom. And kind of from him, but not much. Anyways, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate you guys. Like Chloe said, make sure you grab a gift bag, have some drinks, and get some stuff from the back. But with that, I'll give the Master of Ceremonies here, George Wentz, Jr.
All right. There's something here in the news, Susan, that I kind of want to give anybody that has a funny story or something that she did. If you want to come up and just share it, this is your opportunity. Anybody here that wants to say something? And all right, you got a good one, Dave, I know. All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Hi, so for all of you who don't know me, I am Paul and Michaela's dad, Tina's wife, and my name is Dave.
Sunquist.
Yeah. I knew this because Paul came home from school in junior high one day and said, "Dad, you gotta meet this guy. He's got bright red hair and he's just goofy." And I met Rob, and I'm looking around for a goofy redhead, and never showed up, and Rob and I have been good friends ever since because we see eye to eye. Anyhow, Thanksgiving, a couple of years back, the Wentzes invited the Sunquists and Carlos and his sister and mom for Thanksgiving dinner. It was really good, 2 turkeys, tons of accessories. It was a really good feed, and afterwards we played charades, okay? And we were keeping score, I think. Susan got up and she had one that she was sure everyone would get. It was really, really easy. And she proceeds to, and we're thinking, oops. No. Yes, no. And she, Susan, with that great smile, walking around strutting, 10 minutes, because we weren't quitters, we were going to guess this thing. We did. Her clue was rack. And it was just, it fit. It made the day, it made the evening, and I wanted to pass on to all of you that, gosh, The goofy one was not Rob.
Anybody else you want to top that? All right, brother, come on up here. Eugene. All right, for those of you who don't know Eugene is responsible for all the recent carpentry in this store.
Jeez.
Yeah, Pastor Parker, a wonderful man, and he's helped us so much over the years. And I used to refer to Eugene as Susan's Polish husband. So, there you go, Eugene.
Thank you, George. My name is Eugene. I'm originally from Poland, if anybody wonders the accent. Not sure, actually. So, I took things about Susan. What kind of person was she? To me, she was very giving, very supportive, and understanding in any situation we came across. As I was working here as a handyman in the store and in George in Susan's house. So one day last summer, I was working, I was painting a roof for the home, the house, and they were having, Susan was there with the kids and some other people, and they called me, come, we're gonna have a meal with us. So I came and we have a meal, and they were short with the steaks. I find out during the end of the meal that she actually cut her steak in half and put it in my plate, so I can join them together. So this is kind of personal share. So that keeps me warm all the time. And the second thing I'm gonna share with you, it's a very unusual experience that how giving she was, that she gave me that experience that I don't know if anybody maybe heard of or in the past, but I experienced that. That's why I thought it's worth it to share this. So currently I'm a couple months, I work in the lighthouse, even though I do handyman on the side, but lighthouse as my primary support way of working, making money for living, and shift due to a family reason. So, so I can be available during the day for my son Andrew. And we work in the production line. In Lighthouse, there is a kind of scent-free environment because it's production, so they don't allow any perfumes people to wear, no deodorants, nothing of that nature allowed to go. So even no jewelry, nothing of that nature. And that was fine. I'm totally understanding. And the night that Susan passed away, I didn't know that she passed away at the time, but I felt, I sent the candle, the burning candle, and it came to my memory that she was doing candles in the store. I built a back countertop that everybody was using today and so forth, so that's my part of the building here. And I remember she was doing that countertop for the production of candles so she can sell in the store. She was designing her own scents for the candles. And so when I smelled that at work, I asked my coworker, do you smell anything? And she said, no. But I smelled vividly, very, very vividly that the burning candles. And after work, no. I mean, I got the thought about Susan, but I wasn't really putting much weight to it. And then in the morning, Wagon called me and he notified me that no, Susan, and I shared the story right away with him. And I thought that is very hard experience. So to my understanding, Susan was such a giving person. Even in the last minute, she gave me that experience that I can kind of share with everybody and at the same time cherish it for all my life. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Oh, come on up, Allie. This is my wonderful, I don't know what to call you, you're in. This is my wonderful son-in-law's incredible.
I'm wearing this jacket because I think about 8 years ago. I'm not sure. My husband and I and my daughter were walking down the street in Sandpoint, which we don't live in Sandpoint. We were here visiting. But we knew that Chloe and Byron had met. And I knew that her mom had grace and joy. So we stopped in there. And I wasn't going to say anything. But Susan, in her own lovely way, started talking about things and talked about Chloe and Byron meeting. And I had to say, of course, oh, I'm Byron's mom. I had not met Chloe yet. And it was a really nice meeting. And I loved her from the minute that I met her. I bought this jacket, and that's why I wore it, because I love this jacket. I just want to say that, and I know I've said this many times to a few people, but I think it's important to know that my son, Hendrix, every time I look at him, from the moment he was born, he has Susan's smile. And every time I see him smile, I think of her. And I love that. So you see Hendrix and you see his smile, you see that same spirit.
Anybody else? John Gentleman.
That was really
John Gentleman is the oldest election in the world.
That was the guy who told me that the.
John Gentleman. He hung when he was only 101. I've got a picture of John on the ladder, and all you see is his legs. Right? And he's up here through the ceiling. I mean, this guy, everything in here, he wired it for us. He's just a master electrician. What a guy. But he was a dear, dear friend of Susan and mine as well. And I'm so honored that you're here, John. And there is a circuit in the back.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Hey, John.
I Susan because of my wife, Margaret. And we met Susan on the little on the little store down the other end of the street here. Margaret and Susan almost became like sisters. So, a labor of love, I started doing some work in here for Susan. I did a little work done at the small store. Then came up here, there's quite a bit that had to be done. So I did it, and it was just a labor of love, like I said. But the funny thing about it all was, Margaret got anything she wanted. Nothing. As long as I did the work, she was going to be well clothed. In saying that, Susan was a very special. No matter when we saw Susan, Susan was never down. She was always upbeat. She was always joyful. And there's just no words to describe her. She's just a wonderful, wonderful lady. And a wonderful, wonderful wife and mom. And she truly was a dear friend to Margaret and myself. When we had her, it was a sad day. But there's days I remember, I just went upstairs. We used to go upstairs here somewhere. And up there soon we'd have things, and I just have a not wine, glass of water. No. But there's so much in my mind that just won't come out. I'm sorry. But Susan, a lady, I'm sure all of you have met, and she was just a positive in this world that we live in. There was nothing about Susan. She was always joyful, always had a smile on her face, and always had a hug for anybody that came her way. She reminds me of Margaret in that way. Margaret would hug anybody, man or woman. And I was the most jealous guy. I said, oh, I to do this. But now I have a very dear friend. She's here tonight. Her name is Jean. And she is just like Margaret.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You know it, and that was Margaret to you. Folks, Susan was one of the most wonderful women that I had ever met. I say that sincerely, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. God bless the family and bless
Okay. Lynn. This is Lynn Fitch. And Lynn has been just an incredible supporter of Susan's in the store and a wonderful, wonderful dear friend.
This is tough. I'm not very good at this, but I have to say, the moment I met Susan at the other store down the street, she became a dear friend. She was caring, she was loving. You come in the store, she always had a smile. She was cool, she was funny. She would talk in different voices, and she had all kinds of different character things she would do. She was an amazing. And she became a very, very dear friend. And you couldn't come into the store without her grabbing and giving you a hug and wishing you a great day and always wanted to know what was going on with you or whoever you were a part of your life. But I have to say, I miss her dearly. And there was that she came, we live on the lake, and we're on the Sago side, and she came with their boat. And there was Susan sitting all dressed up, and she had the cutest little umbrella across the lake, and she was just so adorable. But I miss her dearly, and she truly was what one would call a friend. And I always think that I know that she is looking down. She was a believer. She loved Jesus, and I can't say any more. Or anything more than that. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you, Lynn.
Anybody else?
Thank you so much.
George. Jim Schmeller. Oh, wait, for Tyler Pratt. Come on up here. Come on, man. I just got to introduce this kid. When he was playing football with Rob, this guy was so incredible, man. There was a time we were supposed to punt the football, and Presser somehow ends up with the football and calls on his own a fake punt. And Paloa, who's around here, see him on the side, and Chris Glassett, and they're all just having conniption fits. But Presser got the first down. Yeah, baby. I said, that's my boy there. I've loved this kid ever since.
Oh, fantastic. Quite the introduction. Again, I'm Tyler Surter.
Put the mic closer.
A little closer?
Yeah,
All
there you
right.
go. There's deaf people. We're old.
This is true. This is true. I met George in middle school. He was the new weird ginger kid in town. But we hit it off, and very shortly after became good friends. Maybe they can see. And just let it go, man. And the entire Wins family not only kind of opened their arms and to all of us, to myself, but all of us boys. And I can tell you how many times that I think it's going. A herd of young dumb gentlemen would stumble into their house and march in, and Susan was there with open arms, making dinner, greeting us all, asking us how our day was. Being a mother. I think it's over. She was fantastic. But she was also a businesswoman. and would not give up free labor when it became available. I couldn't tell you how many times I have chopped firewood, stacked firewood, moved furniture, mowed the lawn at the Wentz's house under Susan's supervision. But that's what he did for someone like Susan. And then the years went on, and they opened the store, and I remember coming in one evening because George had asked me that they wanted help building the little atrium in the back and working, and Susan was someone that you set time aside for when she asked. The entire Wentz family. And though he's not here with us anymore, she's not gone. Susan was a great person, but her family's still all here. Her 3 beautiful children are still here. George is still here. 4. Susan was a beautiful woman. She was a friend to many, and we all have our wonderful stories about her. And to see her gone is tragic and sad, but the memory of knowing her makes up for all of that. Thank you.
I still love you. Jim. This is my buddy Jim Schmeller. Yeah, I'll tell you. So Jim and I were working on some political issues. The chair of the commission for Idaho County, the largest county in the state. And he and I are getting to know each other. We're talking on the phone all the time. I got that Schmelik, you know. And so she gets in her mind this impression of him. And is that the story you're going to tell?
Yeah, no, you tell it.
No, I'm going to hand over the mic now. I don't want to steal you. This is the first time Schmelik comes to our house.
Okay, I'll finish that real quick. She thinks I'm 6'2" and this really heavy-set rancher guy. And she turns to George and he goes, "He's not tall and he's not fat." Where'd you get that idea? I just want to say, unlike all of you, I only met Susan twice. Both times was an incredible, how can I say it? She's just a wonderful lady, bubbly, outgoing personality. But I wanted to say this. Every time I spoke with George, how you described your wife, his Susie Q, the little general, you could tell how much he loved her. And I used to go home and tell my wife, I wish more guys would talk about their wives the way George does. He cherished her, he loved her, and I wish I could have known her as well as you guys. Last night I got to witness Byron, Chloe, and Rob, and all you have to do is witness this family and witness all you guys here of what Susan was and what she meant to you. And the world is a better place because Susan was here, even though I didn't know her that well. And we're all better off because Susan was here. And I wish I could have spent more time. My heart goes out to you. And I got to spend, we spent 2 hours last night? And then 2 hours this morning? Those are blessings and those are graces. And what's this name of the store?
Grace and Joy. Man.
Grace and Joy. Mine. Because I'm pretty sure I know where Susan's at. Okay. And I love the story you told about how she was at peace at the end. I hope we all can be there. Brother, I love you, and I wish I'd known your wife better, but I know her because of you. Thank you.
All right. Did you want to say something, young man? No? Okay. Anybody else? All right, well, it's my turn, so you better settle in. I first met Susan when we were in high school. I was only 16. And so everybody here got to know her later in life. And I got to see her when she was this amazing, she was the prettiest girl in high school, and you've seen the pictures. I'll let the pictures speak for themselves. And I was this geeky 16-year-old kid, you know, and, you know, pool section, and I was in the marching band. So that just says it all right there. But, the way that she was in high school was she was this bundle of incredible energy. and unlike, there were a lot of like pretty girls in high school, but they all knew they were pretty, you know, and they would like, you know, and Susan was just the most down-to-earth, welcoming, wonderful, uplifting experience for a geeky 16-year-old kid. She was always very nice to me, you know. She did use the F word. She said, "Can we only be friends?" Which is the worst word that any 16-year-old kid who's madly in love with it, you know, can hear, right? Later on, I heard she was a thespian, and I thought that explained it. She only had so Susan was a hell of an actress. I mean, she had an energy. You can just see she had this massive energy, ball of energy. You know, Susan was not a person who spent a lot of time. You know, there's an old saying, when it's all said and done, there'll be more said than done, right? Susan was a doer. She didn't talk a whole lot. She just went out and did it. Look around you here. She was a doer. So she was the star of every play. She was just incredible. And so then I went to college and law school and stuff, and she went and started a restaurant in Annapolis, Maryland, called Cafe Normandy, that is still there to this day. And it's an instant, one of the things that she just did, right? But in the meantime, she was running that and became one of the top 10 restaurants in Washington, D.C., even though she was in Annapolis. That's quite an achievement. She started a catering business, and she catered massive things all Washington, D.C. The Tobacco Institute, everything. I mean, it was incredible. She's just a force of nature. And she did it all with grace and smile and charm. Now, that wasn't enough for her. So in Annapolis, there's this thing called Colonial Players, which was the big, it was the big stage, right? If you could make it into Colonial Players, you were a really top-notch amateur actor. So she went on while she was doing all of that and having children. She decides to become the star of Colonial Players, and you can see program after program after program where she was the star. So that's kind of who she was. That's the bit of her that you didn't get to see. You can see the pictures. She was strikingly beautiful in my opinion. But she also was lovely, gracious, kind, and open and welcoming and all those types of things. At the same time, also running this massive catering business and everything. She one time served like 3,000 people, roasted suckling pigs, while all of the servers were dressed in colonial garb on the grounds of the State House in Annapolis, right? How the hell did she pull that off? I got no idea. That's when I started calling Little General. So she was a logistic whiz, you know. So she got married, and I am, I am eternally grateful that she had a first marriage, because my daughter Chloe came from that. Lily came from that. Wonderful, 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 wonderful children. And she had gone through a kind of a terrible divorce. I had gone through a terrible divorce. We met each other. And I know this sounds like like one of those cards, but we started saying we were each doves with only one wing. We could only fly if we were united. And we hung on to that thought for a long, long time. And Susan was always heard about how upbeat she is. But, we went through some stuff, We went through Katrina, right? We got blown out by Katrina. We were on the road for 6 months. We were in a car driving all over the United States. To Dallas, Texas, I rented a house. I was trying a case over there. And we went blown out by Katrina. Susan just never, okay, we're just going to do this. Well, let's go do this. Well, that's okay, now we'll do this. We got into this house. It was hardwood floors. There was nothing in the house. I rented a house, and I wanted Chloe to go to this particular school, Highland Park. And so, and Rob went to Bradfield Elementary, but we got in there, there was nothing, we had nothing. I went to work because I had to get this case right on the trial. I got back that night, the house had every single thing you can imagine in it. Susan reached out to the PTA and Heather in Dallas, unloaded their garage, and I mean, we had everything. It was great. They kept saying, there's refugees from Rwanda. And I'm going, I'm a partner in a law firm. What are you talking about here? We couldn't buy food for like 6 weeks, you know? They would just give it to us. All these people are using, right? That's just how she was. She just got, people just, like we've heard, people just attached to her and they just loved her to death. And, you know, that's what I did too. So, you know, after Katrina, she actually was called upon to step in for an Oscar-winning actress in a play that was on the road touring nationally. The woman, and she had 2 weeks to learn the whole thing, all the blocking, all the lines, everything. And she stepped in and she did that all over the United States for 6 months. I mean, and that was when she was in her mid-40s, right? That's who she was, you know? We lived in New Orleans. She got into the African-American community. She was the only white person in Ashe. Remember?
Yeah.
The Ashe Theater?
Yep.
And they were doing rap and stuff, and they kept saying to Susan to rap, you know? And Susan was a lot of things, but she was not musical. They're telling her to rap. And so she just decides that she's going to rap in an Irish accent.
She was playing an Irish nun.
Oh, she was playing an Irish nun. Okay, well, that was it. But anyway, so she starts rapping. I mean, it brought the house down. I mean, that was actually the best part of the whole play, was the little white lady in an Irish outfit rapping in downtown New Orleans in an entirely black theater. So that was Susan. She had no prejudice against anybody, right? It didn't matter who you were, she was going to love you, even a Pollock. So, I mean, anyway, that is kind of the spark, you know? She ran the show. We all depended on her so much, and we just loved her to death. And, you know, she was also, you know, so she was an actress. She was a chef. I mean, she was a killer. The restaurant is still there. We opened a restaurant in New Orleans, and in 2014, you know, we did it with Lily, and we had another chef, but Susan had trained this guy. And we won Best Restaurant, Best Chef, and Bon Appetit came to town for a cook-off, and we won Best Dish. Wow. That was all in 2014, right? In New Orleans, where they know something about food. That's Susan. She's just a force of nature. So, you know, businesswoman, there's something nobody knows except for 2 people in here. One day, Susan and I had a gig up in Vancouver. So we fly into Vancouver and we get picked up by a limousine, and we're met by all these dignitaries in the Canadian government. And they're asking us to introduce ourselves. And Susan, who is all the things that I just described, and I've known she was all those things, introducing herself, and they said, "What do you say?" She said, "I'm a filmmaker." I'm a filmmaker. And so I try not to rat her out. And we get back to the hotel, and I go, "WTF, honey?" And she goes, "You know, I've been thinking I'm going to make a film." So Susan, this concept, right? And she comes up with the concept of something called Elephant Gerald. And because she was in that African American, you know, all the music, and when we were rebuilding, you know, we got the nations, all the best jazz artists and everything in New Orleans. And she came up with Elephant Gerald, and she gave every single great jazz star, like Miles Davis, right? And everybody was an animal, a farm animal. And they were all Louis Armstrong, right? I'll never forget it, you know? Josephine Barker and the Barkettes, you know, the little dogs. And so she made this whole wonderful cartoon about how to teach kids about jazz and jazz heritage and everything. And she actually got the whole thing together with the help of the Mayos. And then she went to Disney at the very top and pitched that thing. Now, they were stupid enough to let her go. They didn't take it, but so it never was produced. But it wasn't like she was just making that up. She actually did it. That's what she does, you know? So then we get up here, and she starts going to Thailand with Lily, who was over in Thailand, and Chloe, and they do these trips, and she comes, this is crazy, she comes back with a container of clothes from off the street in Thailand. And I go, honey, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm gonna sell clothes. I'm gonna design and sell clothes. I thought we were making films. So, you know, I mean, it's just, wow, you know. So we hold a house party. Some of you came, you know, and I turned this into like a Grace and Joy store, right? And we put up all the clothes, and we sold out. I was going, this is awful. I wish nobody had bought a thing, you know. So then I was doing this gig over in Colorado. I had a Grace and Joy store. So back in the day, when states were first legalizing marijuana, right? I got hired by AGs to opine on whether this could happen. So I wrote this big analysis and everything. And then I got involved in the legalized marijuana industry, advising actually people in the industry. And so I go over there, and you know, these guys in the pot industry, they're basically just like drug dealers, you know? Carlos, you know what I'm saying? And so this guy, I'm in a meeting of all the attorneys general in the United. There were 48 attorneys generals at this big hotel in Colorado. I happened to be in Colorado, and that drug dealer that I represented owed me $50,000. So I call him, and I'm over here with the AGs, and if you don't pay me, I'm going to torpedo your ass. And you are never going to sell marijuana in the state of Colorado again. I want you to bring me a check right now before I leave. I'm at a table, this big table with like 8 attorneys general, all from marijuana states, right, that are considering doing marijuana. And so in comes this guy, and he's wearing a gold chain, and he's got his open collar, and he's got shades on, and he's got a silver container, one of those shell aluminum cases. He looks every bit the drug dealer. He comes up and he slams that thing on the table and goes, "There's your effing money." And he turns around and watches, and the AGs are going, and I'm going, "Oh, that's one of my marijuana clients, guys." I thought I would demonstrate to you marijuana not having banking. They can only pay in cash. So I open it up. This thing is filled with $50,000 in cash, right? $20 bills and $10 bills, all wafting of marijuana. So I come flying home, and Susan's, I get in, and it's late, and she's in bed, and I run in, and I dump all the money on the bed all over her, you know, and she's throwing $1,000 packages up in the air, and she goes, "Can I have one of these?" And I said, "Sure, baby, take one." You know, and she said, "What are you gonna do with it?" I'm thinking about something, you know. So then, like the next day, Rob and I are in the house, and Susan goes to me. She goes, "You know how good that house was?" Like, yeah. And she goes, "I want to start a store." And I go, "Honey, that is like an awful idea. That is the worst idea I've ever heard. Like, we're just getting settled in. I love your cooking, baby, and I'm really happy." And so then I think I'm going to ask Rob. He goes over and she asks Rob. Rob goes, "That is terrible. You won't be able to come to my football games. You won't be able to cook." We're saying, "Like, Dad can't cook. You know, this is awful, Mom. Don't start a store." So Rob and I go outside to the deck. He turns to me and he goes, "So when do you think she's going to start this store?" So the truth of Grace and Joy is it started with $1,000 of drug money. And somehow that little dynamo of mine, my girl, my Susie Q, she turned that $1,000. God knows how she did it. She did it because she got the whole football team to work for free. But then here you are later, you know, website. We had a store down in Coeur d'Alene. That's my girl. That's Susan. So on the 19th of February, when she started not being able to know my name, in a very short period of time. You know, the family came together. Byron, Clay, Lily, we came together and we stayed with her the whole time, you know. We had, we thought she had a stroke. We took her over to Bonner General. We called 911, you know. We think maybe it's a stroke, but we can't figure it out over here. So we ran down to Kootenai that very night, 9 and 19th. She was admitted to Kootenai. The first several days at Kootenai, we were dealing with these different doctors, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. And man, they tested for this and that, and mad cow disease, and anything you could think of, they tested, right? But nobody knew. Nobody knew a clue. And then, after about our fourth day, in walked a gentleman standing in front of me here, named Dr. Ramses Benjamin. And it was as if a stormy sea was suddenly calm, and his bedside manner was so incredible. And his diagnosis was fast, and he was confident, and he knew what was happening. And he was able to take a family that was just, you know, we were just out of our minds. And he calmed us all down, and he explained everything to us. And then, when I knew it was cancer, I wanted to take her down to MD Anderson, which he agreed with. And when we got to MD Anderson, Dr. Benjamin didn't give up. He's calling me. He's anything I can do to help. And so he helped us get through that's like being at the Pentagon, right? And so we get in and we get the diagnosis, and unfortunately it isn't something that was possibly curable, but it turned out that she had glioblastoma, which is just there's nothing you can do. So we went through the diagnostic, we went through the treatment, the possible treatment, and they basically gave her about 12 weeks. And they just said, treatment doesn't work, there's nothing you do. I mean, there's just not I asked, this is Susan. So she would come and go a little bit with how bad her brain was swelled. So fortunately, during the time that we went in to meet the people that would do the treatment, we get like, okay, what do we do now, right? Wonderful little doctor named Dr. Tom, and he was very good and explained everything to us. But basically he said it's a lot of radiation, a lot of chemo, and it's really nasty. So I said, what's the quality of life like? Because obviously, if you're not going to make it, why would you do that, right? And the outset is kind of like, the first thing, no progress in glioblastoma in 30 years. So I'm going, well, can you describe it? She can be nauseous, yes, she can be nauseous. She can lose all kinds of weight, yes, she can lose all kinds of weight. Is the radiation going to burn her skin? Yeah, it's going to burn her skin. And then he goes, and she'll lose her hair. And Susan said, lose my hair? So that was the end of that. So I got a call from a buddy of mine from the Special Forces who had a lot of people work with him that had cancer. And he directed us to a clinic in California where we were there for 4 months. Now, there's a woman who's supposed to live 12 weeks. So we went there. And Susan made me promise 2 things. Fight like hell. But if I'm going to die, I want to die in my bed. And for those of you who are analytical, those 2 promises are not exactly parallel. We got out to this clinic, and they were wonderful, wonderful people. I hope they're watching. They were like Dr. Benjamin. And the thing is that when we got to California, I get this doctor, I have an MD dedicated to Susan, right? I've got this dedicated to Susan. We just do everything it is, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. And he goes, she goes, well, who's your neurologist? I said, well, we have this Dr. Benjamin in Kootenai. We have some at MD Anderson, but I'd like you to deal with this guy in Kootenai. So she calls Don DeSilvia, who's like an angel. She calls, and Dr. Benjamin pitches right in, starts over again, and follows that treatment the whole way through. Now, unfortunately, we were not able to save Susan, as you know. But I will tell you that it was a Christ-based clinic, and she had terrible insomnia for years. And we had a prayer session, and she really received Christ again, like all over from the very beginning. And she slept like a baby from that day on. It was truly a miracle. And her soul was healed. And I told the guys at the clinic, able to heal her body, but you healed her soul. And about 2 weeks before she passed, over here at the house, I got her home. We had a terrible incident on June 11th, and then I said, okay, that's my signal to get her home. That's promise number 2 is kicking in. I flew her home. We came out, we flew together. Anyway, and she, about 2 weeks before she passed, she grabbed my hand. She had a moment of clarity. She grabbed my hand and she said, look, I know you're, but I want you to know that I'm ready. I know where I'm going and I'm at peace. And I want you to be at peace. And I was able to run out and get Chloe and Lily, and she said the same thing. That's a gift from God, that she's in our heart, right? And then about 30 hours before she died, she grabbed my hand and she rubbed it on her face. And she said, I hope you know how much I've always loved you. So that's my girl. She's such an incredible woman. And I know she's looking down in heaven, from heaven, and that she is really, really, really grateful for everyone here and all the outpouring of love that we have seen from this community, and all of her friends and all of my friends, and all the friends of the family. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And now there's beer and wine. Good Angela's food.
What's that?
Yes, and
And I forgot. Woo! Okay, so Susan always wanted. Now she decided to get cremated. So I remember I was.
I think it's working because
I've just never been through it all up. But, so this is like the only way we were able to get her Amazing Grace.
can I message Lily on your phone?
I don't have Facebook.
We'll sing together.
We do what?
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that brought my heart to thee, and grace my fears relieved. Precious is that grace appeared the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace has brought me thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we hear 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, with endless days to sing God's praise. And when we first begun, amazing sweet brother sound. The cigarettes fly me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. God bless you.
Still going? Okay, that's more water.
Yeah.
Soda water or just regular?
Bring it in. It's just like, I don't know if I should.